Life has a way of breaking us open, sometimes gently, often brutally. Maybe it's the job you lost, the relationship that shattered you, the dream that slipped through your fingers like sand. We've all been there, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., asking, why me? The pain feels random, cruel, pointless. But what if I told you that very pain could become your greatest teacher? That the things you're fighting against might be the exact experiences you need to become who you're meant to be? Enter Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who dared to flip suffering on its head. He didn't just preach resilience, he demanded something wilder, fiercer. Amor fati, Latin for love your fate. Not passive acceptance, not gritting your teeth until the storm passes. This is about embracing the storm itself, the lightning, the thunder, the chaos, and saying, yes, even this. Imagine looking at your deepest wounds and whispering, you belong here too. It sounds radical, even impossible. But what if this mindset shift is the key to unlocking a life of unshakable strength? Think of a time you overcame something you once thought would destroy you. Maybe it left scars, but didn't it also leave wisdom? Didn't it force you to grow in ways comfort never could? That's the alchemy of Amor Fati, transforming leaden pain into golden power. Your struggles aren't just obstacles, they're the raw materials of your evolution. So ask yourself, what if I stopped resisting my fate and started learning from it? What if the very thing you curse today becomes the foundation of your unbreakable tomorrow? The choice isn't between pain and no pain. It's between suffering without meaning and suffering that transforms you. Which will you choose? Imagine a man whose body was a prison, racked by migraines so severe he could barely see. Stomach ailments that left him writhing, a mind so sensitive that light and sound felt like knives. This was Friedrich Nietzsche, a man who spent more days in pain than in peace, yet whose words burned with a defiant, unbreakable vitality. He wasn't some ivory tower philosopher spinning theories untouched by life's grit. No, Nietzsche wrote in blood and fire, his ideas hammered out on the anvil of his own suffering. And yet, his message wasn't one of despair. It was a roaring invitation to live harder, deeper, more fiercely than we ever thought possible. He rejected victimhood not because he didn't suffer, but because he did. He knew pain intimately, loneliness, rejection, a body that betrayed him, yet he refused to let it define him. Instead, he asked a revolutionary question. What if every hardship, every no, every limitation could be fuel? His famous line, "I want to learn more and more to see as beautiful what is necessary in things," wasn't blind optimism. It was a battle cry. He wasn't pretending life was easy. He was insisting that even the unbearable could be used, sculpted into meaning. Think of a blacksmith shaping red-hot steel. The hammer's blows aren't the enemy. They're what forge the blade. Nietzsche's life was his argument. When academia dismissed him, he wrote anyway. When love abandoned him, he loved life more wildly. When his health crumbled, he created Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a book that would shake the world. He didn't transcend suffering, he alchemized it. So ask yourself, where in my life have I been playing the victim when I could be playing the creator? Because Nietzsche's real lesson wasn't about thinking, it was about doing. Not waiting for the storm to pass, but learning to dance in the rain. Not despite the chaos, but because of it. Amor Fati isn't about gritting your teeth and enduring life's blows. It's about opening your arms to them. Not because you're masochistic, but because you trust the deeper alchemy of growth. Imagine standing at the edge of a storm, not hiding from the wind, but feeling its power and whispering, "Yes, even this." That's the heart of it. Active love, not passive resignation. Nietzsche didn't say, "Put up with your fate." He said, "Love it." And that distinction changes everything. Think of the toughest moments in your life, the failures, the heartbreaks, the plans that crumbled. At the time, they probably felt like curses. But looking back, didn't they force you to adapt, to dig deeper, to discover strengths you didn't know you had? That's Amor Fati in action. It's the understanding that life's difficulties aren't detours from your path. They are the path. Just as a sword is tempered by fire, your character is forged in struggle. The Stoics called it The obstacle is the way. Modern psychology calls it post-traumatic growth. But Nietzsche went further. Don't just endure your fate, fall in love with it. This isn't the mindset of a victim, it's the mindset of a creator. A victim asks, why did this happen to me? A creator asks, what can I build from this? Consider the artist who uses their grief to paint something breathtaking, or the entrepreneur who turns rejection into fuel for innovation. AMOR FATI is the refusal to let life write your story for you. It's grabbing the pen and saying, if this is the raw material I've been given, then watch what I can make of it. So ask yourself, where in my life have I been resisting an experience that could be the very thing that transforms me? Because the choice is never between pain and no pain. It's between suffering that breaks you and suffering that builds you. Which will you choose? There's a reason Nietzsche's words echo through the halls of modern psychology. Because science now confirms what he knew instinctively. Suffering without meaning breaks us, but suffering with meaning builds us. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, saw this firsthand in the concentration camps. He watched as some prisoners collapsed under the weight of their torment, while others, facing the same horrors, found a reason to keep living. Their secret? They clung to a why. Nietzsche put it perfectly. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Pain is inevitable, but despair is optional. The difference lies in the stories we tell ourselves about our suffering. Think of the darkest moment you've endured. At the time, it might have felt like a black hole swallowing all light. But if you're here today, still standing, that pain didn't destroy you, it changed you. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. The phenomenon where people emerge from crisis with greater resilience, deeper relationships, or a sharper sense of purpose. It's not that the suffering was good, it's that they made it meaningful. A breakup becomes a lesson in self-worth. A failure becomes a pivot to something better. A loss becomes a reminder to love fiercely. The key shift? Trading. Why me? For what can this teach me? This isn't wishful thinking. It's mental training. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, always interpreting events through the lens of your beliefs. If you see hardship as a sign that life is against you, you'll live defensively, bitterly. But if you see it as a challenge to rise to, you'll grow stronger, wiser. So ask yourself, what story am I telling about my struggles? Because the pain is real, but the meaning is yours to choose. Nietzsche and Frankl agreed. The most powerful question isn't how do I escape this? It's what can this reveal in me? The answer might just set you free. Imagine a young athlete who tears her ACL, the kind of injury that ends careers. While rehabbing, she starts studying game footage obsessively, mastering the mental side of her sport. When she returns, she's not just healed, she's better. Or consider the entrepreneur whose first startup crashes. Broke and humiliated, he uses that failure to spot flaws in an entire industry, and his next venture changes the game. These aren't exceptions. They're examples of AMOR FATI in motion. From Mandela's prison cell to Malala's bullet wound, history's most transformative figures didn't just survive their pain, they harnessed it. So how do you practice this? Start small. That argument with your partner. Instead of resentment, ask, what's this revealing about my needs? The job rejection? Reframe it. What better path might this free me for? Keep an AMOR FATI journal. Each night, write one hardship and its hidden gift. Maybe the traffic jam taught patience. The financial scare sparked creativity. Like a sculptor viewing every chip in the marble as part of the masterpiece, train yourself to ask, how could this be exactly what I need? This isn't about denying pain. It's about transcending it by finding its purpose. The musician who turns heartbreak into lyrics. The cancer survivor who becomes an advocate. Your greatest struggles contain the seeds of your unique contribution. So tonight, ask yourself, if I had to find meaning in my current pain, what might it be? Answer that. Then watch how your suffering starts working for you, not against you. Nietzsche was right. You don't overcome your fate. You marry it. And from that union comes unshakable strength. Nietzsche's Übermensch, the overman, wasn't some superhuman fantasy. It was a challenge. What if you stopped seeing yourself as a leaf blown by life's winds and became the storm itself? This is the warrior's spirit, not brute force, but unbreakable will. It's the single mother working 2 jobs who whispers to her exhaustion, "This is how I build a future." The artist who channels their heartbreak into work that moves millions. They don't transcend suffering. They consume it, turning it into raw energy for their ascent. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Your muscles grow by tearing first. Your courage expands only when tested. Every time life has knocked you down, it was secretly offering you a choice. Will this break me or forge me? The warrior knows scars aren't flaws. They're proof of battles survived, each one a medal earned in the silent war of becoming. That betrayal? It taught you discernment. That bankruptcy? It sharpened your hunger. Even your darkest nights are just the soil where your roots dig deeper. This isn't philosophy, it's alchemy. To love your fate is to stare into the abyss and say, if this is part of my story, I'll make it mean something. No more blaming, no more waiting for rescue. You are the architect of your meaning. So ask yourself tonight, where have I been begging for an easier life when what I need is to become a stronger soul? The warrior's path isn't about victory, it's about valor. Not the absence of fear, but the certainty that whatever comes, you'll wield it. Your fate isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Now what will you create with it? AMOR FATI isn't just a philosophy, it's a daily ritual, a way of seeing the world through fire-forged eyes. Start each morning with a vow. Whatever today brings, I will meet it with love. Not naive optimism, but fierce trust. The kind a blacksmith has in the hammer's swing. When traffic snarls, when emails sting, when plans collapse, pause. Breathe. Whisper, AMOR FATI. This isn't surrender, it's command. You're not accepting chaos, you're claiming it as your co-creator. Turn regret into a mirror. What did this teach me? Transform frustration into fuel, the way a rocket uses resistance to propel itself upward. That coworker who undermines you, they're training your patience. The delayed flight, an invitation to pause. Think long-term. Picture yourself years from now telling the story of this moment. How did it shape you? Every irritation is a stitch in the tapestry of your character. AMOR FATI means catching yourself mid-complaint and asking, how could this be the exact challenge I need? The answer will set you free. Nietzsche's greatest challenge wasn't to endure life. It was to explode into it. Become who you are, he wrote, not in some distant future, but now, through the raw material of your present. Your failures, your heartbreaks, your setbacks, these aren't obstacles to your destiny. They are your destiny. AMOR FATI is the realization that you weren't meant to dodge life's blows, but to absorb them, alchemize them, and rise stronger. This is the path of the unstoppable. Not a life without storms, but a soul that learns to dance in the rain. To love your fate is to stop begging for a different story and start writing this one with bold, ink-stained hands. So stand in the wreckage, the joy, the uncertainty, and say, yes, this too. Don't just live your fate, love it, and in doing so, become unstoppable.